Welcome back, bookworms. This is the Bonafide Bookworm channel on YouTube, and we are just trying to learn English together by reading together. I don't really have any reviews or updates today, so we're just going to jump right in. We're going back to Touching the Void by Joe Simpson, and when we left off, we were on page 30. Nothing's really happened at this point. They're climbing. They're climbing. That's what they're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And we're going to start on at the top of page 31. Again, Touching the Void by Joe Simpson. The sun was fully up. Jackets and tops were in the sacks. Following Simon, I was slowing with the heat, dry-mouthed, wanting water. The angle eased. Looking to my right, I smiled, seeing Simon with legs astride a large rock, sack off, taking a photograph of me as I came over the top of the ridge of the ice field and headed towards him on an easy ramp line. Lunch, he said, passing me a chocolate bar and some prunes. The gas stove hissed away busily, sheltered by his rucksack. The brew's nearly ready. I sat back, glad to rest in the sun and look around. It was past noon and warm. Ice glittered down from the headwell, which reared 2,000 feet above us. For the moment, we were safe. The rock on which we lunched topped a slight rib, splitting the ground above. Lost my spot. The rock on which we lunched topped a slight rib, splitting the ground above the ice field so that the debris tumbled harmlessly past on either side. We sat perched above the ice field, which was steeply sloped, dropping like a vertical wall beneath our lunch rock. A giddy, dragging sensation urged me to lean further out over the drop, pulling me down at the snow ice sweeping away below. Looming over with my stomach clenched and a sharp, strong sense of danger, I enjoyed the feeling. Our footsteps in the snow hole were no longer visible, lost in the dazzling blur of white ice and white glacier. With the wind tonight, all signs of our passing would be gone. The upper tiers of the great yellow rock buttress, which split the face, crowded out our view of the way ahead. As we climbed up parallel with it, we began to see just how big it was. A respectable 1,000-foot high wall, which would have been a mountain in itself in the Dolomites. Stones had whirred down from the upper reaches all day, smacking into the right side of the ice field, then bouncing and wheeling down to the glacier. Thank God we hadn't climbed any nearer to the buttress. From a distance, the stones seemed small and harmless, but the smallest falling free from many hundreds of feet above would have hurt us as surely as any rifle bullet. We had to find the steep ice couloir. I don't know that word. Couloir. There'll be a quiz later. We had to find the steep ice couloir which ran up through the side of this buttress and would eventually lead us into the wide hanging gully we had seen from the Sierra Norte. This would be the key to the climb. We had under 6 hours to find it, climb it, and dig a comfortable snow cave in the gully above. In the gully above the 200-foot wall below. That was what we wanted to get into, but it would be impossible to go directly up the wall through the fringe of icicles. How much higher do you reckon the couloir is? I asked, seeing that Simon was examining the rocks intently. We'll have to go higher, he said. It can't be that one. He pointed to an extremely steep cascade of icicles just left of the ice cliff. It might go, but it isn't the one we saw. You're right, it's above the mixed ground. We wasted no more time. I put the stove away and sorted out ice screws and axes before I led off, crossing the ramp and then front pointing up steepening water ice. The ice was harder and more brittle. I could see Simon when I looked between my feet, ducking away from large chunks of ice that were breaking away from my axes. I heard his curses as some big pieces made painful direct hits. Simon joined me at the belay and told me what he thought of my bombardment. Well, it's my turn now. He carried on up, following a slanting line to the right over bulges and areas of thin ice which showed the rock bared in places. I ducked away from some heavy ice fall, then more before a warning doubt clicked in my head. Simon was above me, but off to the right. I looked up to see where the ice was coming from and saw the cornice summit ridge far above me. Some of the cornices overhung the west face by as much as 40 feet, and we were directly under their fall line. Suddenly the day, excuse me, Suddenly the day seemed less casual and relaxed. I watched Simon's progress, now agonizingly slow and hunched up, my hair bristling at the thought of a cornice collapse. I followed him as fast as I could. He too had realized the danger. "Christ, let's get out of here," he said, passing me the ice screws. I set off hurriedly. A cascade of ice dropped over steep underlying rocks in a 50-foot step. I could see it was a steep 80 degrees maybe, and hammered in a screw when I reached its base. I would climb it in one push and then move right. Water was running under the ice, and in places the rock sparked as my axe hit it. I slowed down, climbing carefully, cautious of rushing into a mistake. Holding on to my left axe near the top of the cascade, I tiptoed out on my front points. Halfway into the swinging my right axe, a sudden dark object rushed at me. "Rocks!" I yelled, ducking down and away. Heavy blows thudded onto my shoulder, whacking against my sack, and then it was past, and I watched Simon looking straight up at my warning. The boulder, about 4 foot square, swept below me, directly at him. It seemed an age before he reacted, and when he did, it was with a slow motion casualness which I found hard to believe. He leaned to his left and dropped his head as the heavy stones seemed to hit him full on. I shut my eyes and hunched harder as more stones hit me. When I looked again, Simon was all but hidden beneath the sack which he had swept over his head. "You okay?" "Yes," he shouted from behind his sack. "I thought you were hit." "Only by small stuff. Get moving, I don't like it here." I climbed the last few feet of the cascade and moved quickly right to the shelter of the rock. Simon grinned when he reached me. "Where did that lot come from?" "I don't know, I only saw it at the last moment. Too bloody close." "Let's get on, I can see the gully from here." Boosted with adrenaline, he climbed quickly towards the steep icy couloir visible in a corner of the main buttress. It was 4:30. We had an hour and a half of light left. I went on past his stance for another full rope length, but the couloir seemed no nearer. The flat white light made it hard to gauge distances. Simon set out on the last short pitch to the front of the couloir. Sorry, I'm glancing to my right because I put my timer over here to my right, and I'm trying to keep this one in a small window. "Yeah, but there's no evidence. We ought to bivvy here," I said. "It will be dark soon," which bivvy is to rest, to make camp. "Yeah, but there's no chance of a snow hole or any ledges." I could see he was right. Any night spent here would be uncomfortable. It was already getting hard to see. "I'll try and get up this before dark." "Too late. It is dark." "Well, I bloody hope we can do it on one rope length then." I didn't like the prospect of blundering around on steep ice in the dark, trying to sort out belays. I made a short traverse left to the foot of the couloir. "Jesus, this is overhanging and the ice is terrible." Simon said nothing. 20 feet of rotten, honeycombed ice reared up in front of me, but above I could see it relented and lay back to a more reasonable angle. I banged an ice screw into the good water ice at the foot of the wall, climbed the rope through it, turned my head towards on, took a deep breath, and started climbing. So if I understand right, they are now climbing in the dark. I was nervous at first, for the angle forced me backwards, and the honeycombs crunched and sharded away beneath my feet, but the axes, biting deeper into harder ice, were solid, and soon I was engrossed. A short panting struggle and the wall was beneath me. Simon no longer in sight. I stood on tiptoe on glassy hard-water ice, blue in my torchlight, curving up above me into shadows. The dark night silence was broken only by my axe blows and the wavering cone of light from my torch. The climbing held me completely, so that Simon might as well not have been there. "Hit hard, hit again. That's it, now the hammer. Look at your feet, can't see them. Kick hard and again. On up, peering into shadows, trying to make out the line." The blue glass curves left, like a bobsled run, the angle steepening under a huge fringe of icicles on the right. Is that another way up behind the icicles? I moved up under the ice fringe. A few icicles break away and thump, tinkle down, chandelier sounds in the dark, and a muffled shout echoes up to me from below. No time to answer. This was way wrong. Damn, get back down, reverse it. No, put a screw in. I fumble at my harness for a screw but can't find one. Forget it, just get back below the icicles. I shouted down to Simon when I reached the floor again, but I couldn't hear his reply. Spindrift powder rushed down in a burst from above. Unexpected, it made my heart leap. And we are going to stop right there. We're at the top of page 35. I'm going to try to record some more today, so I will get this posted. I'm going to attempt to start making a schedule so that I post on Tuesdays and Thursdays so that you'll get the book 2 times and maybe we can get through the book a little bit faster. I hope you're enjoying reading along with me. Again, if you'd like, you can purchase the book Touching the Void. This is no promo. I don't have any gift codes to get the book cheaper. I think I bought mine from a used bookstore. But yeah, just go ahead, try it out with us, and read along next time. Have a great day.